just recapping the story of Ray Motissette's arrest from a News 9 story, October 18th. Tell us about it. Updated the 20th.
Well, before we got cut off, we were discussing why somebody might not show up to a court date and it be perfectly legitimate.
Okay.
And what I was trying to elaborate on is that our laws and the people who are enforcing them are corrupt. And because of this corruption, there is very little chance that you are going to receive actual justice. Certainly not constitutional justice, which is what we're looking for. Because every single attorney in Oklahoma, a practicing attorney, the only ones allowed to represent you before the courts, according to the Bar Association rules, or even the law, Oklahoma law, the only ones allowed to represent you must be a bar member, a Bar Association member, which is a quasi de facto form of licensure. Yeah. And what it does is it adds a chilling effect, as I have personally discovered when I was seeking lawyers. It adds a chilling effect to actually defending on constitutional grounds. Yeah. Because if you do so, and the Supreme Court doesn't like that because they are the gatekeepers keeping the whole scheme going, you are at a complete disadvantage from the lowest judge all the way to the Supreme Court and every person who appears before them as a practicing attorney. So the chilling effect is really, really cold, and there's very little expectation, virtually nil, that you will receive justice in a court. In this particular case, the judge did get the case before him, and rather than throwing it out on constitutional grounds, which he had the duty to do, and didn't do. Instead, he ordered a warrant, signed a warrant for the non-appearance. Okay. That is a complete sham and a complete abstraction from justice.
I want to channel my inner D'Ambroso here and say that, yeah, but these are all hoodlums and crooks that don't get their
That's what I just said.
Yeah. And if that's what we have to do to get crime off the streets, then they're doing a good thing. That's what D'Ambroso would say, right?
That would be what he would say. And the point is that yes, then all us deplorables clinging to our guns and our Bibles are criminals. Because that is literally what they're saying. And I've said this before right here on this show, but our prisons are filled with political prisoners.
Yes.
And why? Because they, the government, the people involved in this scheme, in all these various schemes, have turned ordinary law-abiding people into criminals.
Yeah.
Who have done nothing to any other person. We as a society need to start recognizing this and put pressure on them.
I got a case in point. Carol Howe. I don't know if you remember from the Oklahoma City bombing back in '95. Okay. She had formerly been part of this white supremacist group.
Okay.
She's a young woman who was adopted into a family of considerable wealth in Tulsa area. Bob and Aubin Howe. I know them because I worked on their house. They were clients of mine, and so in her, post-high school, sowing her wild oats, she hung out with a bad crowd, and then she kind of got out of that, got her life cleaned up, and then the FBI came calling. We want you to be a federal informant to try to help us investigate some white supremacist group that we think are involved in this. So she goes out to Elohim City in Arkansas, which is where this, kind of a compound is, where a bunch of them, and, she's hanging out with them. Meanwhile, they arrest Timothy McVeigh and Nichols and that whole bunch, and so now they're getting the trial ready, and she's done with what she's supposed to do. And then she's been an undercover informant, right? So in the midst of discovery with the defense for McVeigh and Nichols and that, the FBI screws up. Well, it's the Justice Department, federal prosecutors, and they reveal her identity.
Oh, great.
And now she's got a bunch of, pretty admitted thugs, right? And she's got to decide, what do I do? And the FBI says, oh, we'll put you into our witness protection program.
I love
Yeah.
that.
By the way, I know your adopted child here, and this is Aubin and Bob are the only family you have. You'll say goodbye to them for the rest of your lives. You'll never
Right.
see mommy and daddy, who are well-to-do, and and all that. And she's like, I got to decide. These people already screwed me over once, the
Right.
Justice
Yeah,
Department, and that. So she decides to go on her own. No, I am going to prove they are lying, and I'm going to go deeper into this group. So she starts living with one of the guys in it. And he is, I would say, got some attitudes on race that are pretty unfavorable. I wouldn't ascribe to him. And this is back in the technologies of the mid-90s when we actually had phone answering machines, with tapes and reels.
Right.
And well, he's got this recording where he does messages, and one of the messages sounded like it was inciting violence. At least the feds thought so. And so they're going after both Aubin and Carol Howe, young Carol Howe, and this fella for inciting racial violence. Now, I heard the tape, and a lot of people, really? So they tried the fella first. He ain't got any money. He's got a public defender. He's in for 15 years.
Right.
Then they tried Carol. Carol and her parents decide that they're going to try their chances with a young unknown attorney called Clark Brewster.
Yeah.
This is before Clark was Clark, okay? Clark destroyed the federal government's argument. By the time they got done, she was totally exonerated of all of it. The FBI looked like a bunch of idiots, and it was like, now she's got a case to go after the FBI and for civil damages, right?
Right.
And that. So they get done with that, and then finally some ACLU attorney goes to this live-in boyfriend and says, let's file an appeal. They didn't even argue. They said, let the guy out. Because it was so clear. This is the point. If you've got lots of money, you can argue for your civil rights.
Right.
But the way our judicial system is, you get the best justice money can buy.
Right.
And that's why I say the poor get abused by our system.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because the courts, in fact, this last primary, House District 12, Nick Mahoney decided to appeal it. Get a recount. Mm-hmm. The judge said, okay, the trial is such and such, and you have to get an attorney. He said, I don't want an attorney. I don't know. If we're going to do this, you have to hire an attorney. They made him hire an attorney.
Right. And again, that's unconstitutional. I want to know about these kinds of abuses because Constitutional Grounds wants to start keeping a record of these kinds of things because they happen all the time. We want to know when they are seating an illegitimate jury.
Yeah.
Where they are holding people to account and excusing people who would dismiss a charge on constitutional grounds.
Yeah.
Those people absolutely should be sitting on the jury because you can't get a fair jury.
Yeah.
And that's when you have a jury trial. Most of these things never make it there because their counsel is so corrupt.
Yeah, now, and it's not just in those kinds of criminal law cases, but I was asked by a family who was going through a very troubling time a month ago that the man in the family had mental health issues that were very severe. And now he had developed severe dementia. It looked like it was probably Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. There was no way, and the mental health court judge, I know her, she was not going to let the guy out. But some long-term planning had to happen. And what happened is the wife called me and said, Dave, they won't even let me have his medical records, and they're citing HIPAA law thing, right? And
she's the guardian.
No, that's the
Oh,
thing.
she wasn't.
She says, I've got to, now I've got the legal papers. We've done a living will in that, so it's in here saying I get it, but having the court procedure done. And she had no money.
Right.
And so,
Probably cost her a minimum of $350.
so no, that's exactly right. An attorney offered her, I can do your documents to file with the court clerk, probate department, for getting guardianship.
That's probably
And
$1,000
it's
something.
yeah. Well, no, that was $200 and some. So
That's cheap.
but here's my problem. You get the best justice your money can buy.
Right.
And this woman was just trying to say, just give me the ability to make the decisions to take care of them.
Right.
But if you don't have the money, that guy is homeless. He's
Right.
gone. Okay? We're stacking our laws against families taking care of each other.
Oh, exactly.
The
Oh,
idea
exactly.
that money works to your advantage is going to always be true.
It is.
And if we go the redistribution route, you won't get rid of the poor. You'll just move the wealth to the people who are
Yeah.
calling the shots on who redistributes.
But we've got
Well,
we've
exactly.
got a different alternative. We set up our Oklahoma courts over the last 15 years to be dependent upon fees, court fees,
Right.
any adjudication in criminal courts. Those fees are so great that we're getting people in debtor's prison now
Yes.
that are having to go back just because they couldn't keep up with their monthly payments on these fees. It's nuts. I mean, thousands of dollars. And now over in Wagner County, if they keep you in jail, they charge you $75 a night. Because they put you there.
That's handy.
On top of that, and if you can't pay that, they send you back to jail so they can charge another $75 each night you're in there.
And this is all, it's all on the heads of these judges, because
Yeah.
these judges have allowed it. Because there's not one, I mean, if you're wrongly arrested and they still charge you, I'm sorry, no.
Operate on that
Actually,
bubble.
actually.